Have you ever felt completely alone in your darkest battle? Like no one understands what you're going through? What if I told you that the strength to survive is already inside you, waiting to be discovered? Stay with me, because this speech will change the way you see your struggles forever. The room was silent, too silent, the kind of silence that does not bring peace. It presses against your chest like a weight you cannot see. There is a flickering light above. It hums, buzzes, then flickers again. A cracked mirror on the wall reflects your face, but it does not feel like your face. It feels like a stranger staring back. Your hands are trembling, not because of fear, but because of everything you have been holding in. The pain, the pressure, the loneliness that screams inside your skull. You have been walking through fire, and no one noticed, no one asked, no one stayed. You carry wounds that never bled, scars that never showed, smiles that were fake, and eyes that cried in silence. There were nights when you talked to the ceiling, begging it to answer back, and mornings when you stared at the sun, wondering how it kept rising while you kept breaking. Your heart beats, but it feels hollow, like something inside is missing, or maybe something inside is screaming, louder than ever. You laugh in front of people, but inside it is thunder. It is chaos. It is a war. And you are the only soldier left standing. Everyone thinks you are strong, but they do not see the bathroom floor, the broken toothbrush, the unanswered texts, the playlists filled with songs you pretend do not hurt. But here is the truth no one tells you. You are still here. After everything, you are still breathing, still rising, still walking. And that makes you dangerous, because the world tried to break you, and it failed, because pain changed you, and you adapted, because you faced the storm, and you did not run. You stood, bruised, bleeding, but unshaken. There's a fire in you now, not rage, not revenge, but power, the power that comes from surviving something you never thought you would. You are not weak. You are not fragile. You are not alone. And even if no one claps for you, you are the reason someone else will keep going. You are living proof that shadows can lie, that silence can speak, that broken people can build themselves again, from dust, from ashes, from nothing, and rise into something unstoppable, unbreakable, unforgettable. You are not the victim. You are the voice that silence fears. You are not the victim. You are the voice that silence fears, because silence tried to drown you, but you learned how to breathe underwater. You trained your lungs to hold pain. You trained your heart to beat without hope. You trained your mind to stay awake, even when the world wanted you asleep forever. You know how it feels, to scream into your pillow until your throat burns, to hide in the shower because tears feel safer there, to stare at the walls so long. You begin to forget who you were before the pain. But there is something no one can take from you. Your will. Not the surface smile you give the world, but that raw, electric fire deep in your bones. The whisper that says, "Not yet." The whisper that says, "Get up." The whisper that says, "This pain will not define you." You feel everything more than others. That is not weakness. That is your weapon. That is what makes you rare. You see too much. You care too deeply. You break harder, but you rise louder. You do not need applause. You do not need permission. You do not need someone to say, "I am proud of you," because you know what it took to just show up today. You know how heavy your chest was, how dark your thoughts got, how close the edge came, but you are still here. And the world should be grateful for that, because people like you change the game, not by being loud, but by surviving in silence, not by standing in the spotlight, but by standing through the storm. Look around you. Do you see that cracked ceiling above your bed? It watched you grow up faster than you were supposed to. It saw the tears you swallowed, the dreams you buried, the rage you never showed. It remembers the day you almost gave up, but something stopped you. That something was not luck. It was not magic. It was not a miracle. It was you. You, the warrior hiding in plain sight. You, the fighter disguised as a quiet soul. You, the legend that no one ever wrote about, because you were too busy surviving to tell your story. But your story matters. Your story will echo, because there is someone out there, right now, sitting on their bathroom floor, thinking it is the end. And when they hear your voice, your truth, your pain, they will realize they are not the only one. And that changes everything. You think your battles are shameful, but they are your armor. You think your scars are ugly, but they are your map. They show where you have been. They show what you have conquered. You are not broken. You are built differently. You are made of shadows and steel. You are made of silence and screams. You are made of nights that tried to end you, and mornings that mocked your survival. But still, you rose. You did not get a trophy. You did not get a standing ovation. But you got another day, another chance, another shot to fight back. This world, it loves to celebrate winners, but it forgets that the strongest ones are the ones still standing, without medals, without cameras, without anyone saying their name. But I see you, not because I am watching, but because I was you. I know how cold the kitchen tiles feel at 3 a.m. I know how heavy your hands feel when you can no longer write, no longer create, no longer care. But I also know this. There's a point where the pain turns into power, where you stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. Where you stop begging to be saved and start saving yourself. You do not wait for the light anymore. You become the spark. And when that happens, the world is not ready, because they laughed when you cried. They mocked when you fell. They ignored when you pleaded. But now, they will hear you roar, and it will not sound like revenge. It will not sound like rage. It will sound like peace, like truth, like someone who knows their worth, because they had to earn it, through fire, through failure, through fear. So stand tall, not because you have to, but because you can. Walk forward, not because it is easy, but because stopping is no longer an option. Breathe deep, not because the air is light, but because you know how it feels to suffocate in silence. This moment, right now, is your beginning, not your end. You are not the quiet one anymore. You are the storm they never saw coming. And when they ask you, how did you survive? You will not say a word. You will just smile, because the truth is too heavy for those who never had to carry it. This is for all of you fighting battles alone. This is your proof that you are more than your struggle, more than your sorrow, more than the silence. You are still here, and that changes everything. You are still here, and that changes everything, because being here, after all of it, is no small thing. It is not weakness that made you stay. It is strength the world will never understand. You have been through the kind of pain that you cannot explain at dinner tables, the kind of ache that makes you forget your name, that turns your heartbeat into static, that makes laughter sound like a foreign language. And still, you managed to rise with quiet grace. Still, you made your bed, washed your face, faced a world that never said thank you. You do not need anyone to recognize you, because what you have built, what you have become, cannot be named by someone who never tasted your sorrow. You survived nights where the silence got louder than sirens, where your own mind became a haunted house, where memories replayed like horror films, and hope felt like a dying star. But even in that darkness, you found something, a flicker, a pulse, a single thread holding you together. Maybe it was a song, a word, a face, or maybe it was nothing, just your breath, just your will, just that tiny voice whispering, do not go yet. And you listened. You stayed, even when it felt easier to leave. You stayed, even when it hurt to breathe. And that is courage, not the kind they write about in books, not the kind that gets celebrated with applause, but the real kind, the kind that happens in the middle of the night, in silence, in shadows, when no one is watching. You have cried in places no one should cry. You have screamed into pillows, clawed at your own thoughts, begged your brain to just be quiet for one day. And yet, you showed up to work, to life, to family dinners, smiling, pretending, masking every broken piece with practiced strength. But that mask is not who you are. And it does not need to be. Because the person underneath, the one who has walked through fire barefoot, who has drowned in doubt and still found air, that person is worth knowing, worth loving, worth fighting for. You are not a burden. You are a battlefield. You are not fragile. You are forged. You are made of mornings that almost never came, of choices that saved you without anyone knowing, of days you made it through, without claps, without cheers, without anyone saying, I see you. But I do. I see you. Not because I am looking, but because I know what it takes to carry a storm and still protect everyone else from the rain. You have spent so long being strong for others that you forgot what it feels like to be held yourself, to be told, you do not have to be the hero today. But maybe, just maybe, this is your moment to let go of the armor, to rest, not because you are weak, but because even warriors bleed, even lions lay down, even stars burn out. But that does not mean they disappear. It means they are recharging. It means they are gathering fire again. It means they are preparing to rise, brighter, stronger, unapologetic. And that is you. The world is not ready for the version of you that no longer shrinks, that no longer apologizes for surviving, that no longer waits for permission to speak truth. The world is not ready for the fire you now carry in your chest, the truth in your voice, the storm in your silence. But you are ready to stop hiding your pain in poetry, to stop turning your struggle into a joke, to stop acting like what you went through was just a phase. It was not a phase. It was war. And you won, not because you were the strongest, but because you refused to give up, even when everything inside you screamed that it would be easier to vanish. You stayed. You did not need a crowd. You did not need a camera. You just needed one more breath. And you took it. And now, that breath becomes a roar. Now, that silence becomes power. Now, that lonely, aching soul becomes the reason someone else does not fall. You were never alone. Not really. Because every soul fighting quietly is connected. Invisible threads binding us all. In grief, in grit, in glory. So this is for you. The one sitting in their car, not ready to go home. The one staring at their phone, waiting for someone to say, I am proud of you. The one walking through life, like a ghost in their own story. I see you. I hear you. And more importantly, I believe you. You do not have to prove your pain. You do not have to explain your scars. You just have to keep going. Because there is light waiting. Not the kind someone gives you, but the kind you carry inside, even when you cannot see it. And one day, you will look back and realize, this chapter, this moment, this ache, was the turning point, the place where the old version of you died, and the real one was born, not from peace, but from battle, not from joy, but from pain. And that version of you, that is the one who changes everything, not just for you, but for the world. Because once a soul learns how to fight in silence, it becomes a voice that echoes forever. You are still here. And that is the beginning of everything. You are still here. And that is the beginning of everything. Because you know what it means to be on the edge, looking down, feeling the wind whisper that it would be easier to let go. You know what it means to fake smiles so perfect that even your own reflection believed them. You know what it means to answer I'm fine with such practiced calm that nobody asked again. But here's the truth. You were not fine. You were surviving. You were drowning quietly, and nobody saw it because you carried it well, because you wore your silence like armor, because you learned young that being strong means hiding pain. But not anymore, because now your truth matters. Your story matters. Your scars are not stains. They are medals. They are reminders that you were tested, and you came out, not untouched, but undefeated. You walked through fire, and the flames changed you. They did not destroy you. They forged you. Now you walk differently. Now you speak differently. Now your eyes hold galaxies. filled with wars no one knows you fought. And still, you show up. You get out of bed, even when your chest feels like a collapsing cave. You move forward, even when your feet feel like stone. You choose to stay. When leaving would be easier, you choose to try. When everything inside you whispers, "What's the point?" The point is, you are not done. You have not told your story yet. You have not become all you are meant to be yet. There's a version of you that still waits to rise, still waits to breathe freely, still waits to laugh without guilt, to sleep without nightmares, to wake up without that heavy question, "Will today hurt too?" And that version of you, it is closer than you think. It is not perfect. It is not untouched. But it is powerful. It knows how to hold space for others, because it knows what it feels like to be empty. It knows how to listen, because it remembers what silence felt like. It knows how to love, because it knows how loneliness breaks you. And now, you do not just walk. You lead, not with noise, but with presence, not with control, but with compassion. You have become what the world forgot it needed. A reminder that survival is not weakness, that gentleness is not failure, that quiet people carry earthquakes. They just wait for the right moment to shake the world. And now, that moment is yours. You are not waiting anymore. Not for someone to rescue you. Not for someone to understand. Because now, you understand yourself. You see your own worth, even when the mirror lies, even when the memories sting, even when the ache returns, without warning, because healing is not straight. It curves, it dips, it spirals. Some days you will fly, some days you will fall. But even when you fall forward, you fall aware, you fall conscious that this pain, this pressure, this weight, it is shaping you. It is pushing you deeper into the core of who you really are. And when you finally emerge, you are not the same. You are raw. You are real. You are ready. You do not need to explain why you disappeared, why you cried, why you changed. Because those who truly see you will understand. And those who never did were never meant to. You owe no one an explanation for the wars you fought in silence. You owe no one your energy, your time, your tears. You owe it to yourself to live, not just exist, not just survive, but to truly live, to feel the rain on your skin and not flinch, to feel music in your bones and not go numb, to feel joy without guilt and peace without proof. You have earned that. You have earned every sunrise, every deep breath, every gentle moment, because no one gave it to you. You carved it out with bleeding hands and sleepless nights and invisible tears. You built peace from brokenness. You built strength from struggle. You built a life from pieces no one thought could be saved. And now, when someone says, "You seem different," smile, because you are. You are no longer a shadow. You are the flame. You are no longer a question. You are the answer. You are no longer lost. You are home, not in someone else, but in yourself. You are the place you were always looking for. You are the calm you were always chasing. And the truth is, even if the pain returns, even if the darkness visits again, even if the silence screams louder someday, you will not be afraid, because you have been here before, and you made it out, because now, you know the way back. You know how to rescue yourself. You know how to rebuild from ruins. You know how to rise without applause. You have already won, and everything from here is a bonus. Every smile, every step, every small moment of peace is proof that you are the storm and the calm after it. You are the lesson and the light. You are not just surviving anymore. You are finally alive. You are finally alive. And maybe for the first time, you are not just breathing. You are existing with intention, not just waiting for the day to end, but meeting it, holding it, as if it owes you something. Because it does. It owes you moments you were robbed of. It owes you peace you had to fight for. It owes you light after all that darkness. And you are here now. to collect every piece. You are reclaiming what was stolen, not just from others, but from the you that used to whisper, "I wish I felt like I mattered." Well now, you do. And it is not because the world changed. It is because you did. Because you stopped begging to be understood and started learning to understand yourself. You stopped chasing validation and started choosing growth, even when it was lonely, even when it was silent, even when it meant outgrowing people. You never thought you would lose. And it hurt. Let us not pretend it did not. It cut you open in places no one could see. It forced you to sit in rooms where your own voice was the only sound, and sometimes even that felt too loud. But you stayed. And in staying, you discovered something sacred. You discovered that you are enough. Even when broken, even when unsure, even when doubting every step, you are still enough. Not the version of you that is polished and perfect, but the one who stumbles forward anyway. The one with shaking hands, who still reaches for the next thing. The one with tired eyes, who still looks up at the sky. Because deep down, you know something others forgot. That beauty exists in the flawed. That real strength is not loud. It is quiet, unseen. It shows up every morning you do. And now, the fear that once gripped your chest has become a fuel. Now, the loneliness that used to paralyze you has turned into wisdom. Now, you no longer search for someone to complete you, because you are not a half. You are whole, raw, unfiltered, but whole. You are done shrinking for comfort, done apologizing for sensitivity, done hiding your empathy like it is shame, because feeling deeply, caring too much, hurting quietly, these were never weaknesses. They were your superpowers. And now, you see it. You feel in your bones, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you walk into rooms, no longer seeking to be invisible, but also not begging to be seen, because you see yourself clearly, finally. And that changes everything. You no longer chase people who do not respect your presence. You no longer tolerate conversations that drain your peace. You no longer feel guilty for choosing rest over performance or silence over noise, because now you know your worth, not as a phrase, not as a motivational quote, but as something sacred, something lived, something earned. You bled for this peace. You cried for this clarity. You broke for this breakthrough. And now, you own it, fully, unapologetically. People may not understand you. That is okay. They did not walk your path. They did not hear your screams at 3 a.m. They did not see you clinging to life when it felt like life was slipping away. You owe them nothing, but you owe everything to the version of you that kept going, the one who wiped tears without comfort, the one who healed wounds without help, the one who chose to love themselves even when it felt impossible. That version of you deserves everything that comes now. The laughter, the lightness, the love, not the kind that demands parts of you, but the kind that honors all of you, even the messy parts, even the parts still healing, because you are not finished. You are evolving, and evolution is not linear. It spirals, it dips, it repeats lessons, until you no longer flinch. And now, you do not flinch anymore. You breathe through the discomfort. You stay grounded in chaos. You remain soft, even when the world is hard. That is your power. The world will try to make you hard, make you bitter, make you numb. But you choose presence. You choose feeling. You choose love. And that is what separates you from everything that tried to destroy you, because you refused to become what hurt you. You broke the cycle by being gentle. You ended the storm by being still. You answered cruelty with boundaries. You faced pain with honesty. And now, everything within you is aligned, not perfect, but true, not flawless, but free. And freedom, that is what this was all for. Freedom to be who you are, without shame. Freedom to love without fear, to speak without shaking, to live without permission. You earned that. Every lonely night, every breathless sob, every moment of "I cannot do this." followed by, but I will try. That was the path. To this place. Right here. Right now. Where you stand taller. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You are not done. This is only the beginning. There will be more hills, more battles, more quiet wars. But now, you are ready. Not because you feel fearless, but because you understand. That fear does not stop you anymore. You carry it with you, and walk anyway. That is who you are now. That is what you have become. A storm that learned to dance in the rain. A soul that found peace in its own rhythm. A survivor who no longer just survives, but lives. And when someone asks, how did you do it? You will not say a word. You will just smile. Because you know, some victories are too sacred to explain. Because you know, some victories are too sacred to explain. Not everything that saved you can be seen. Not every miracle has light and thunder. Sometimes it is just a breath, taken when your lungs were collapsing. A step, taken when your legs were shaking. Sometimes it is whispering, I will not give up, in the middle of the night, when no one heard you, and no one ever will. But you heard it, and that was enough. That was your resurrection. Not loud, not dramatic, but real. You do not need applause for surviving. You do not need validation for healing. Because survival is its own reward. You became your own lifeline. When the world gave you silence, you became your own friend. When the nights turned cold and the stars felt too far away, you taught yourself how to stay when every instinct begged you to disappear. And now, look at you, breathing without panic, smiling without pretending, loving without fear of losing. You are living proof that darkness does not win. Not when there is even a flicker of light inside you. Not when your heart still fights, even with cracks in it. Because some hearts were never meant to stay whole. They were meant to break and rebuild, stronger, wider, wiser. And yours has become a fortress, not made of stone, but of compassion, a place where others can rest. Because you know what it feels like to have nowhere safe to go. Your pain was never just yours. It became a bridge for those still walking through the fire. They look at you now and do not see perfection. They see truth. And that is what this world needs. Not more masks, not more noise, but people who are unafraid to say, I have been there. And you have. You have sat with emptiness long enough to make peace with it. You have danced with sorrow until it stopped stepping on your toes. You have laughed through tears so many times that now both feel like old friends. This is who you are, a survivor. Yes, but more than that, you are a builder. You took broken pieces and created something sacred, something soft and unshakable. Now, when you speak, your voice does not just carry sound, it carries gravity, because it comes from a place that has known silence. When you move, you do not just walk. You carry worlds, because your soul remembers what it means to crawl. And that is your power. You did not just survive. You transformed. You evolved. You became, not in one moment, but over thousands of quiet ones, where you chose to try again, where you stood up, with nothing left, but still stood. That choice, repeated, relentlessly, is what changed you. And now, no storm, no pain, no loss can take away what you built inside, because that is eternal. And those watching you now, they see the glow, but not the ashes you rose from. They see the calm, but not the chaos it cost. And that is okay, because you did not do this for anyone else. You did this for you, for the version of you that begged for the pain to end, that screamed into pillows, that felt too broken to continue. You did this for the child inside you, still waiting to feel safe, still waiting to hear, you are enough. And now, you tell them, with every breath, every step, every second you choose life, you are rewriting your story, not with perfection, but with courage, because courage is not about being fearless. It is about walking through the fear. It is about holding pain with grace and still choosing joy, even when it hurts, even when it shakes, even when you are not sure it will last. That choice, that is what separates you. You did not wait for the pain to stop, to begin healing. You started anyway, and in doing so, you discovered something deeper. That healing is not the absence of pain. It is the presence of purpose. It is the realization that your story is not over, not even close. There are still sunrises you have not seen, still words you have not spoken, still people you are meant to meet, who will look at you and see home, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. And in a world full of filters and noise, that is gold. So walk forward now, not fast, not without fear, but with honesty. Let your steps be uncertain. Let your hands still tremble, but move anyway, because your future is not waiting for you to be ready. It is waiting for you to begin, exactly as you are, exactly where you are, exactly who you are. No more hiding, no more shrinking, no more waiting for permission to be alive. You have fought too hard for this moment. Now, it is yours. Take it, because this moment was not given. It was earned through the nights you thought would never end, through the mornings you almost did not rise. It was carved from silence, from suffering, from the ache of learning to breathe again, when the world sat heavy on your chest. And now, you hold it in your hands. This life, this freedom, this version of you, that once only existed in the distance, like a faint dream. You were too afraid to chase, but not anymore, because something inside you refused to die, even when everything around you felt cold, empty, lifeless. There was a flicker, a small voice, that kept whispering, "There's more than this." And now, you see it. You see the world differently, not because it changed, but because your eyes did. Eyes that have cried, now see clearly. Eyes that have closed in despair, now open with purpose. You walk into rooms and carry presence, not ego, but depth. People feel it, even if they do not know what it is. They feel the stillness in your voice, the weight of your words, the way you do not speak unless it matters, because you have nothing to prove anymore. You have already proven that you are unbreakable. You have already shown that pain can be a teacher, that loneliness can be sacred, that silence can be healing. And now, every step you take is not just a step forward. It is a declaration that you survived, that you are healing, that you are here, even when you were never supposed to be, even when the statistics and the shadows and the silence tried to write you off. You became the author of your own story. And this chapter, this one, it is about rising, not as someone who won every battle, but as someone who never stopped fighting, even when the war was inside. Because that is what no one sees. The silent wars, the private breakdowns, the quiet courage it takes to simply show up. And yet, you did. You rose from hospital beds, from heartbreak, from betrayals, from nights where your only company was the sound of your own breathing, trying to remind yourself that you were still alive. You put your hand on your chest and waited for the beat to return. And it did. Every time. It came back. Because your heart, even when broken, never gave up on you. So do not give up on it. Do not give up on yourself. Now that you are this close to peace, to purpose, to power, because that is what is waiting. Not perfection, but power. The kind of power that comes from knowing pain and choosing love anyway. The kind of power that walks through fire and does not burn, but glows. The kind of power that cannot be taken because it was never given by anyone but you. You built it inside, quietly, relentlessly, and now it shines through your smile, through your story, through the strength in your silence. You have become what they never saw coming, a force that bends but does not break, a soul that shatters but still sings. A light that flickers, but never fades. And the world, it needs that light, because someone out there is still in their darkness, still holding their breath, still wondering if anyone has ever felt what they are feeling. And your story, your survival, might be the very thing that reminds them they are not alone, that even if they are in the valley now, there is still a path, still a way, still a chance. And if you can come through it, then maybe, just maybe, they can too. So do not hide your truth. Do not shrink your pain. Do not edit your journey to make it easier to hear. Tell it, live it, wear it, because your truth has weight, it has wings, it has power, and you have earned every ounce of it. So hold your head up, not because you have all the answers, but because you kept asking the questions, even when they hurt. So stand tall, not because you feel invincible, but because you remember what it felt like to be on your knees. And now, you walk with gratitude, not just for the good days, but for the days that nearly destroyed you, because they taught you that you are still here, still breathing, still becoming. This is not the end. It is the unfolding of a soul that refused to give up. You are still rising, still growing, still glowing. And no matter what happens next, you know now, you have what it takes to begin again, and again, and again, until one day, you look back, not with shame, but with pride, because every tear built this version of you, every scar tells a story, and every breath is a reminder that you chose to live, that you chose to live, not just exist, not just survive, but to truly live, to rise above the pain and find meaning in the brokenness, to look at your reflection and recognize a warrior, not a victim, to hear your heartbeat and know it is a drum calling you forward. Every scar on your skin is a map of your journey. Every tear you cried was water for your roots. You grew through storms that tried to uproot you. You bent in winds that threatened to break you. But here you are, stronger, wiser, more alive than ever, because life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It is about learning to dance in the rain, to feel the cold water against your skin, and know that you are not drowning, but awakening. This is your moment, the one you fought for, the one you whispered to in the silence of despair. And now, the world can see it too, the fire in your eyes that refuses to be snuffed out, the strength in your voice that demands to be heard. You are no longer invisible, no longer a shadow hiding in the corner. You are the light, the storm, the calm after the chaos. And you are not alone, even when you feel it, because every person who is listening now is fighting their own battles, walking their own dark roads. Some just do not have your courage yet. Some just do not have your faith. But they can have it, because you are proof. Proof that it is possible to rise from the ashes, to heal from the deepest wounds, to find joy after pain. And you do not have to do it perfectly. You only have to do it. You only have to try. Every day you get up, every day you choose hope, you are winning. And winning is not about trophies, or applause, or being better than someone else. Winning is about showing up for yourself, for your dreams, for your life, no matter what, no matter who, or what tries to stop you. Because the most important battle is the one you fight inside, the battle for your own peace, your own happiness, your own freedom. And you are winning that battle with every breath, with every heartbeat. So hold on to that. Hold on to yourself. When the nights get too long, when the silence feels deafening, remember this moment. Remember your strength. Remember your power. You are more than your pain, more than your fears, more than your doubts. You are a force of nature, a survivor, a light in the darkness. And the world needs you, just as you are. So keep going, keep fighting, keep living, because your story is far from over, and the best chapters are still ahead. So now, as you stand here today, remember this. You are not defined by the battles you have faced, but by the courage you showed when no one was watching. You are not alone in your fight, because your strength inspires those still searching for their own. Hold your head high. Embrace every scar as a story of survival, and walk forward knowing this truth. You are enough. You are worthy. You are unstoppable. And when the world tries to dim your light, remember, you were born to shine through the darkness. So rise. Rise with all the power that lives inside you. Rise for yourself. Rise for those who cannot yet rise. And rise because your story is far from over. This is your time. This is your moment. Go and live it fiercely.